First, we start with, unfortunately, the biggest news of the week in the sport. And on Thursday, federal prosecutors announced charges against 26 people in connection with an alleged bribery and point-shaving scheme to fix men's Division I basketball games during the 23-24 and 24-25 seasons. The alleged schemes involved at least 39 players on more than 17 different teams and 4 charged players: Kennesaw State's Simeon Cottle, Eastern Michigan's Carlos Hart, Delaware State's Kamion Shell, and Texas Southern's Uno Caresi all competed for their current teams within the past week. But allegations against them don't involve any games from this season. Now, NCAA President Charlie Baker released a statement Thursday which said, in part, quote, "Protecting competition integrity is one of the utmost importance for the NCAA. We are thankful for law enforcement agencies working to detect and combat integrity issues and match manipulation in college sports. The pattern of college basketball game integrity conduct revealed by law enforcement today is not entirely new information to the NCAA. Through helpful collaboration and with industry regulators, we have finished or have open investigations into almost all of the teams in today's indictment." The statement went on. The association has and will continue to aggressively pursue sports betting violations in college athletics using a layered integrity monitoring program that covers over 22,000 contests, but we still need the remaining states, regulators, and gaming companies to eliminate threats to integrity such as collegiate prop bets to better protect athletes and leagues from integrity risks and predatory bettors. And so it is with that we bring in Jordan and Matt. You guys have so much experience in college sports and college basketball. Clearly a black eye for the sport of college basketball. The number one question I think people have out there watching today: how can we trust and believe that the players and coaches we watch throughout college basketball are trying to win?
That's a complicated question, and the best I can do is make no mistake about it. This is bad. This is really bad. It's absolutely a black eye. There's 39 players involved in fixing games. However, as I'm sifting through the information on this, I did find a silver lining that is worth noting here. And the fact is, the scare tactic of it all, this is a wake-up call to any athlete considering being that bad actor, teetering on the line of, do I fix a game? Do I chase that easy payday? Well, look at these sophisticated systems that are in place. Look how patient these athletes were being surveilled to ultimately get caught. If I'm teetering on that fence of saying, I might fix a game, today is the day, and when this news broke, where I go, well, Big Brother is really watching. There might be guys, young men and young women, that are sitting there sleeping last night and waking up today going, maybe I've already been caught for what I've done in the past. I think the fact that there is a Big Brother element to this, how patient they were going back to 2022, where they caught these athletes and waited in the weeds to make this known and unseal this document, I think kids are going to be sitting there thinking, is it really worth it at this point? Because ultimately, you will get caught.
You know, you bring up a good point. There may be somebody out there right now that was not sleeping last night because they've known that this is coming out, and you will get caught. And we're talking about careers. Your career is over when you think about the decisions that you made that led you to this point in time, to take some money.
Reputation,
it is wrong.
Potentially your freedom.
Reputation, your career, your freedom, all of that stuff. With all that being said, it is wrong what has gone on and what has transpired. Who are you surrounding yourself with? We talk about circles, players, agents trying to get at players, people trying to get at players. Do you have a tight circle and listen to people that have your best interests at heart? Clearly, in this situation, it did.
And that's what's so interesting about this era we live in, where accessibility is at an all-time high, where 18 to 22-year-olds can get on social media and anybody can reach out to them. The education that these young people now have is light years ahead of what we had at that age because of the technology in front of them and that accessibility. Yeah. With that being said, they're smarter than they've ever been. And so to have the ability to say, I can do this, and the circle and who can get to them, well, that's very different than it was when we were at that age, because it's just a click away who can contact these kids, who can infiltrate their circles and can have them make these type of horrible decisions.
Sure, and the prevalence of sports betting information is out there more than it's ever been on this program many weeks. We talk about it as well. You guys have been in the sport for so long, and I know it's a different game right now, and it is more accessible now than it's ever been before, but when you were playing, when you were coaching, did you ever have the thought that any of your teammates or coaches were not trying to win?
I mean, I chuckle, and it's obviously a serious matter, but I laugh because, Coach, I played in 2000, graduated in 2005 from Notre Dame. In my locker room, if we were getting set to play a St. John's, a Syracuse, a Villanova, whoever it was, We had no idea if we were favored in the game. We had no idea what our player prop bet was, let alone the number in which we were favored or we were underdogs. And we weren't turning on the TV and being educated in that. And there was no apps to tap into to be aware of that. So it's just understanding that the world that these kids are in now in these locker rooms are so wildly different than the ones we were in, because this wasn't something we faced. Now, that being said, there was gambling scandals. Going back to, you can tap into a few. Late 70s, Boston College had issues with this. You had Arizona State in the mid-90s had issues with this. This is not new. The sophisticated systems are now catching it more often, and we're hearing these stories more often going to the NBA and college because of what's in place. But we never
Did you ever hear of a player that you were involved with?
Never. And I think it's the culture that I was a part of at the University of Florida. I mean, everything was focused on winning. That's all that mattered. And who are you bringing in? Who are you hiring as assistant coaches? Maybe a little bit naive. Now that this comes out and you go back and you think about it, like, did I know everything that was going on within the program when I was a head coach? Did I know it all? As an assistant coach, your job is to know it. But it's unfortunate that we're talking about this today with a loaded slate of college basketball games, one of the biggest Saturdays we've had up to this point in time of the season because of the decisions, the poor decisions of a few.
And that's important to note here, too, because a lot of what you read is people say, well, the NIL era, you know, these young athletes, these athletes at these schools that maybe don't have the resources and don't have the NIL deals are seeing them elsewhere and pursuing these dark alleys to try and make money. I'm not buying that. Like, at the end of the day, again, going back to the fact these 18 to 22-year-olds are more educated than they've ever been. They know what's right and what's wrong. So this is a small sector of bad actors that we need to find a way to prevent this moving forward. And again, it goes back to the wake-up call today. Try and do this. You're going to find yourself in trouble, in a world of trouble.
That helps. What else can be done? What else can be done at the NCAA level? We saw Charlie Baker talk about eliminating prop bets from the platforms out there. What can be done?
We can talk about education. Because when Jordan was a player, when I was coaching, the only thing we talked about in terms of gambling was a video the NCAA would show us right before the NCAA tournament and say, don't bet on it. You think of compliance officers now on college campuses. Back 5-10 years ago, their job was to make sure Matt McCall as an assistant coach or Matt McCall as a head coach didn't buy Bradley Beal an extra hamburger or didn't give Bradley Beal an extra pair of socks or an extra pair of shoes. That's what they were doing. That's what they were monitoring. Getting compliance officers more involved, because right now you can give someone an extra hamburger. You can give someone an extra pair of shoes. You can pay players. Where is the education from this side of things? Where's the education?
I just don't think you need to be educated on the fact that this is wrong. And if these headlines don't make sense to them, I don't know what will. I will say this, for anybody trying to discern going back if games were fixed or not, liken this to the steroid era. We may never know in absolutes, well, was this game fixed? Did this player, was he impacted? We'll never know. And there might be games moving forward we might never know. But what I will say, going back to it, is have faith in the integrity of these games because of the sophisticated systems that are now put in place. They're going to catch more of them than they don't. And I do think news like this, as bad as it is, Coach, it's going to go a long way in preventing and curtailing a lot of these issues.
You do wonder if there was a story like this and this many players caught, and now we'll see the implications of being caught and being involved in something like that. If these exact players had seen other people get caught and the trouble that they got in, to your point, would they have done it? Would they have thought twice about it? Probably, for sure. And so, black eye on the sport, for sure. Something to monitor as we go forward as the sport tries to fix and clean up some of these issues.